Hi, this is Olga from Bristol, UK. As my assignment 2 for the Coursera Introduction to Music Production course by Berkeley, I prepared a lesson on how to create a project in the digital audio workstation. For this exercise, I will use PreSonus Studio One Prime. Having opened my Studio One, the first thing to do is to create a new song. The DAW automatically gives the name to the file and sets its default location. I kept the name as it was proposed, but I changed the location to keep my music exercises together in my music folder. Also, we can set here the sample rate and the bit depth, which is called resolution in the Studio One Prime. Let's have a look at the other preferences. In the audio setup section, we select our hardware. In my case, it is Audio Interface Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. And we can set the buffer size here as well. In Studio One they use the term block size. To make the latency shorter while recording and monitoring, I set the buffer size at 128 samples. In the song setup, we can check our sample rate and bit depth. They are 48 kHz and 24-bit, exactly like I set them when created the song. I keep all the rest of settings as default and move to the audio input-output setup. In the Studio One, hardware inputs and outputs are assigned to software input-output channels in a matrix router, which is a visual representation of the routing. Let's look at the inputs first. Software channels, mono and stereo, are each given a horizontal row, and hardware inputs are given vertical columns. The points at which these rows and columns intersect represent potential connections or routes between the hardware input and software input channels. To create a route between software input and hardware input, we click on the empty square at the intersection of the desired hardware input and the software channel. A colored square appears with M, L, or R label, indicating whether the route is a mono route, M, or the left or right side of a stereo route, L or R. In our case, the M label appears on the selected intersection, which means that we will record a mono interleaved file. The output channel is labeled main out stereo and is routed by default to the first stereo hardware output pair of the selected audio device. With Focusrite 2i2 and my headphones, which I am using to monitor the recording, I am limited to only one stereo output pair. Studio One by default records in the broadcast WAV file format. In the manual to this DAW, it is said that WAV is the only format supported to make the records, but we can also import other audio file formats. You can see the list of all supported file formats in the Location File Types section of the Studio One preferences. I imported the drum track which I have prepared before and recorded a voice part, and all that is captured in the Media folder within my project folder. To see what does your project look like right from the Studio One, click on the Browse button. You can also see the details of your project in the Finder if you work with Mac, or in the browser if you work with the PC. The highlighted file here is the project file, and besides, the project folder contains all other assets of the project. So, today we discussed how to prepare a project in the Studio One Prime. We learned how to create a new song, how to set the sample rate and the bit depth, how to set the buffer or block size, how to arrange input and output settings, and how to work with the supported file types. I hope you liked the lesson, and if you have any questions, please ask in the comment section below. Thank you and have a great day!